The address by the guest of honor, Dr. Sandeep Krishnamurthy, the Dean of University of Washington, Bothell School of Business, US. He shall speak on understanding the evolving needs of learners, Vision 2035, the future of lifelong education.
Thank you everyone for walks in. Delighted to be here. First of all, I just want to say how charming it's been to see all the students hard at work. So it's nice to see their contributions in making this event a success. Delighted to kind of interact with many of the students and looking forward to many more interactions. So I just want to focus on sort of five big ideas in my talk today, and I hope that is something that is of interest to you. The first one is the idea that we live in a knowledge economy, and what that means is that learning is the only competitive advantage that all of us have. We live in an era where a lot is changing, and so we have to adopt a mindset that we have to keep learning. And a university can be one place where we learn, but we have to keep learning for all through our professional lives in order to cope with the complexities that are going to come our way. And there are many ways of thinking about why this is the case, but essentially, your rate of learning should keep up with the change in the complexity of the world, right? So, and as the world's complexity evolves, is your rate of learning, staying apace? I think is one idea. So that idea itself is very powerful because it means that the way universities are constituted, the way we approach learning as a society, has to be completely re-engineered. It is a massive institutional transformation that needs to take place because we have created a collective illusion that we can provide students with a quantum of knowledge called a degree, and that alone is sufficient. Well, it is hardly sufficient because the world changes so fast that the students' knowledge is obsolete the day they graduate. So, how is it that we create in students an idea that they have to keep learning, and how do we make them self-directed learners? I think is kind of a very important idea that I'd like all of us to think about. The second one is this other idea that learning is not about mastering a finite set of ideas. A lot of times we have this view that there's a textbook, there's chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and once you hit chapter 25, you now know everything about that subject. And this is not learning. Okay, this is absolutely not learning in the environment that we expect that all of you will be a part of in the coming future, right? So what that means is learning is about the ability to navigate through complex and turbulent environments, making sense of unstructure, not structure. If somebody gives you a lot of structure and say just do this, it means that you're in a low business value addition job, right? So the future high business value addition jobs are going to be about unstructured. How is it that you navigate complexity and ambiguity to identify which are the important problems that have to be solved? Those are the skills that we want people to develop. So um, the third idea is the engineers are going to mess it up. And I say this as with all due respect, having an undergrad in engineering myself from IIT. Um, but basically, if we leave the future of the technological enterprise or the future of society itself to just the engineers, they will just build something, and because they have the technical skills. So we need leaders who can connect whatever the engineers are able to do with what society needs, right? So we need people who can bring values as part of their leadership. We need people who understand what it means to be inclusive, people that are very different from themselves. We need people, there's a new term that we are starting to use called purple skills. I don't know if you've heard of purple skills. So, meaning this is something that I think Deloitte started, but the idea is that you have kind of the red skills, which are technical, the blue skills, which are traditional business skills, and then how about the purple skills, which are things like critical thinking, resilience, intuition, navigating through ambiguity, things like that. So how is it we inculcate in students the ability to kind of deal with more complex environments? And I think business schools can play a vital role in that, and all of you can play a vital role in enabling our students to ask the right questions. So in order to do that, how do we help them be curious? How do we put them in experiential learning settings where they have to apply what they're learning? And I think the organizing of this conference, for example, is a great way for people to apply what they're learning, right? Because they have to manage a budget, they have to get sponsors, they have to conduct an event, manage relationships with guests, and so on. I think that's the sort of thing that we need more of. And then we have used this term to talk about economic phenomena, and that term is anti-fragile. And the idea there is an anti-fragile phenomenon, if you want to think about it, is something that gets stronger with adversity. Right? So imagine there is some phenomenon where that phenomenon gets more intensified when faced with adversity. So the fourth idea is, how do we graduate business leaders who are anti-fragile, who will not simply crumble when faced with the first adversity, but actually will get stronger in the face of that adversity and will essentially lead their organizations with poise and courage. And then finally, I think the biggest thing that we can do as a business school is communicate to our students that it's not about them, it's not necessarily just about the profit objective, that they have an obligation to society. So we have an expectation that, thinking about getting the first business analyst job upon graduation, that we want the students to be thinking about how they have a larger, obligation to society, and how they should be inculcating some interest in helping others in society from day one, once they graduate. So it'll be interesting to see how our conversations evolve over the next few days. But I hope that these ideas are useful, for you. And I really believe that all of this can really happen if the way universities, business schools, and professors, approach our work. If that changes, only then we will be able to do this work together, because we all have to approach this together. Meaning that we are learners just as much as the students are. Faculty have to be learning, the administrators have to be learning, and we have to be finding a way to connect with what is needed. So with that, I think my time is up. I'm going to hand it over back to Chahat